This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create a professional website, blog, portfolio, and online store. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase on new accounts, just head on over to squarespace.com and use offer code GAMEBREAKER7. This episode is also brought to you by Shutterstock.com. With over 20 million high-quality stock photos, illustrations, vectors, and video clips, Shutterstock helps you take your creative projects to the next level. For 30% off your new account, go over to Shutterstock.com and use offer code GAMEBREAKER7. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Derpy Dragon, the free-to-play weekly show. This is episode 7 for July 12th, 2013. You're watching FreeToPlayTV. I'm Gary again. Coming up on today's show, End of Nations, more like End of MMORPG. Firefall's open for everyone, and Neverwinter introduces the campaign system. All that and more, but first, the one, the only, Mr. Magic Man himself, Mr. Mike Byrne. How are you, sir?
Fantastic, Mr. Gannon. How about you, sir?
Awesome. And
I heard we're talking about WoW today. It went free to play or something this week?
Yeah, something like that. Went free to play, pay to win, all at once. Watch Tremo. Now we got lots to talk about today. Lots of interesting stuff to talk about. I want to talk about first. This is not game specific. But by far, the biggest story this week that is attached to the free-to-play world, which is of League of Legends, is the Justin Carter story. This was the number one story on our website, so I feel like we have to talk about it. Well, for those of you, people out there who have not followed the story, give us a little backstory on what this whole this just disaster, this mess.
Yeah. All right. So quick version, since it's like a 5-6 month story. Justin Carter, teenage League of Legends player, has a heated match and gets into a little argument with one of his friends afterwards. The argument spills over onto Facebook. Somebody says that he's effed up in the head or makes some comment similar to that on his Facebook, to which Justin replies, stupidly, nobody's arguing that it's a stupid comment to make. Something to the effect of, yeah, I'm so screwed up in the head that I'm going to go shoot up a school and eat the beating hearts of children, and then LOL and JK. That was back in February. Concerned citizen in Canada sees it, spends some time on the internet to track where Justin lives, finds out that he's not far from an elementary school, calls the authorities. They scoop Justin up the next day at work. They detain him in a cell until beginning of March, when he's actually questioned. So he's in there for about half a month, 2 to 3 weeks before he's even questioned. They do search his house. They take his computer. They don't find any weapons. He doesn't own any. He doesn't have the means to carry out an attack anywhere near what he had commented. They question the parents. Justin has still been in jail until yesterday, awaiting a hearing on July 16th in Texas, where they plan to charge him with multiple things, including terroristic threats, which could carry up to 10 years in prison. They asked him to plead guilty for 8. He did not. Yesterday, kind of developed in the whole week, Justin did get an attorney that's taking the case pro bono, who specializes in First Amendment, and an anonymous Good Samaritan fronted the entire $500,000 in the form of a donation to the family for bail. Why they did the whole $500,000, don't know. You only need 10% to get out, but kudos to them. So Justin was at home in bed last night for dinner and awaits his trial or his hearing on the 16th.
Yeah, definitely a really interesting story, which, there's people on both sides of the fence. There's still people wondering if, and again, we don't know the entire story, correct? So we don't know for sure if the authorities have found anything else that would make them sort of want to detain him any longer, or actually we don't know that. So I want to point that out, because I know a lot of the interwebs have completely gone in his favor, and and we hope that that's not the case. But we don't know what they found on his computers. We don't know what they found, and I'm not.
Yeah, I mean,
saying
they took his computer, and that's what prompted them. It was right after they did that his bond or his bail was raised from 250,000 to 500,000. So it does make you question: did they find something on his computer for them to double what was required? But as far as the DA, they're not giving much information. Obviously, it's a pending case. So
I'm bringing it up, and I'm saying it in that light. With that is not with the insinuation that Justin has done something even a little bit wrong on a larger scale. I'm not insinuating that whatsoever. I'm only bringing up the counter argument that we just don't know because the authorities have not released anything. They've just been holding him on $500,000 bail and not really saying a peep, and nobody really knows anything. So you actually interviewed his mom, I believe, about 2 weeks ago on the subject. So. Yeah. It's a really wacky story. It's just kind of crazy. It gets into all kinds of First Amendment rights. Was our number one story on the website, of course, because it kind of came out of League of Legends, and League is being attached to this thing, not in any way, shape, or form. Other than that, that's where the conversation happened. But we're definitely going to follow up and keep covering the story because it's a very interesting one, especially when it comes down to with all the NSA stuff that's going on and now how it's happening in video games. So I wanted to also bring it up. It's
also one of those things that, like, if you thought that was nasty, you should listen to an actual chat during a MOBA match.
Well,
granted, the comment was stupid.
Right.
Nobody's defending the comment or defending that the police should have investigated. They definitely should have, in this day and age, gone to look and make sure everything was okay. Where the question comes in is it something that should be a 10-year sentence, or should he have been held for 4 or 5 months while this investigation took place? Once they realized this was a teenager being stupid.
Right. And like I said, without all the facts, like, it's hard to take any side on this thing. It definitely sounds like it's a really bad situation, but we don't know that. We don't know the facts. The reason I did want to bring this up, though, and actually talk about it today on the show, because I almost feel like I want to point it out and make sure gamers actually know that this stuff is happening, because I don't think a lot of people realize that, like, before this happened to Justin, the last thing he thought was, hey, I'm going to type something stupid, because, again, this happens, like, if I flip on, like, in a mumble chat, like, right now into some, like, MOBA or something, I guarantee you the amount of smack talk and trash talk that's going on is just so intense. And I don't think gamers think about it all the time. And I just want, I'm not saying stop doing what you're doing. Your life, you do what you do. You say what you want to say. But I guarantee you, Justin is probably regretting the fact that he even made, if they were jokes and he was just completely joking, I guarantee you he completely regrets making those jokes today. So got to be careful. You just got to be careful. Yep. Like, you don't know who you're going to offend. And I know a lot of gamers are going to be like, well, F you, man. I don't really care. And screw it. I'll go to jail. Lock me up. And yeah, you say that now. Like, I mean, there are reports, I think, that he was assaulted and beaten up in jail multiple times, and they had to keep moving him around to, like, different cell blocks, and he was on suicide watch. Who knows if, God forbid, the kid got raped? I mean, I'm just saying, they say assaulted. Who knows? That sucks, man. And especially if the story only goes as far as a kid in a game making a stupid comment, writing LOL JK, but still, crosses the line, talks about, like, kids and doing bad things to them. It's just watch out. Just watch out. Because we all get intense on games, and we like to show off to our friends, and I don't know. We shall see
definitely
where this one goes.
Interesting, sir. It's definitely interesting. Gaming aside, a whole First Amendment conversation is going to be had here, and I'm interested to see the outcome and where things head, specifically with social media, right? You and I can talk as much as we want and mumble. That's likely not going to lead anywhere, but it's when somebody else overhears or sees it in the social media world, how far does the First Amendment extend? It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Of course, we wish him the best.
Yeah, but I see somebody
in chat one side right now.
And I see somebody in chat room saying, "Oh, that's really good. Scare people into, like, speaking their mind." Talk about killing kids and going to a school and killing children. I really not much of a place for that. So F you to whoever said that in chat room. So there you go.
Oh, but
go ahead,
Gary. Oh, see now, the last 2 weeks in Twemo, we've gotten worked up over Final Fantasy 14 and comments that I've made about 14. I can see where the guys in chat are coming from, though. Under the First Amendment, say what you want, but are there repercussions for things? Absolutely. And Justin's finding out the hard way that there are repercussions. I don't have a problem with that whole concept. I have a problem with as much of the stories I have at this exact moment. I think they've exceeded the scope of what should have happened.
We think.
In repercussion land.
We don't know.
We think.
And believe me. So here's the thing.
Again, based on what we have right now.
This is a video game show, but I could go on a complete tirade where I think like what's going on in this country is completely just it's going to shit. I mean, the whole thing today, the story about today, Obama signing to basically shut down all communications on the internet. Like, I think it's a disaster. The whole NSA thing. I think we are at a police state. Believe me, I am not saying I do not encourage free speech. What I am saying is, if you want to get land, if you want to say something as stupid as this, which really has very little value in the world, and end up in a jail cell with some guy sticking his wiener in you, go for it. Go for it.
Oh, welcome to Derpy Dragon, the free-to-play MMO show.
I'll defend our Constitution, and I will keep things out of my butt. There you go. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
This has been a public service announcement by Gary Gannon.
Gotta be smart, man. Gotta be smart. All right, I want to talk about End of Nations. We haven't talked about End of Nations in a really long time.
No.
This is a game Tryon was working on with, who was that? Who were they working on with originally? Was it Petroglyph? No, Petro something? Yeah, it was Petroglyph. Petroglyph was working on this game. And they showed it off a bit, and all of a sudden they went dark. Even before this show kicked off, Derpy Dragon, I mean, I don't think we've heard pretty much anything for months. End of Nations, for those of you who don't know, it was being termed as a free-to-play MMORTS from Tryon, the makers of Rift, and they also have a few other games coming out, like Arcade and things like that. But I guess I don't know what it is at this point, because you go to the website now, like now they're calling it a MOBA/RTS. I don't know. Forget everything. All of a sudden, it's a MOBA. What's going on here? What's happening? What are they doing?
Yeah, and you're right. This was way before free-to-play TV. We launched in late May, and the whole Petroglyph, Tryon Worlds taking the project off of them, layoffs at Petroglyph and all that happened in December of last year. I actually didn't think it was that far ago until I went and looked it up. So apparently now Tryon has decided, you know what, we're still going to develop this, but we're going to change what we're doing here. And there aren't a lot of details besides you can sign up for the alpha/beta. The email says alpha, the website said beta. I don't know. You can sign up for it now. They encourage you, once you sign up, to download the launcher and the patcher and everything to get it set up, and they'll contact you when it starts. And very, very sketchy 2 sentences worth of details that it's a MOBA RTS, team-based combat, and you're trying to push your leader to the higher ranks, your commander, your general type figure. So, yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, there's really nothing else to go on here.
What you're showing is it.
This is it. This is all they released. One page on a website, couple images that scroll, and a sign up, and the fact that it's now a MOBA RTS. What was your initial reaction when you saw this, when you heard the news? Were you basically facepalming, going, hey, League of Legends is better, let's make a MOBA?
Right. That's pretty much exactly it. It was like, oh, thank God, another MOBA. Yes! That's exactly what the market needed. I'm not a MOBA guy. I mean, I dabble in Legends and Heroes of Newerth and Dota 2 and all those types of more traditional MOBA 3-lane gameplay stuff. So I'm not particularly looking forward to this anymore. I actually was as an RTS, and am now looking forward to it less as a MOBA.
Do you think that there was a big market, though, for MMORTS? I always sort of felt like there was just such a small market. I didn't think a lot of players would kind of latch onto this.
The danger is here. Okay, and I agree with you. Out of the entire, we'll say what, the MMO player base is 25 million players. Out of that, it's probably a pretty small market that are really, really looking for an MMORTS. But it is a rabid market. The people that wanted End of Nations to be RTS really wanted it to be RTS, and those same people are following Command and Conquer free-to-play, which is coming soon, which is MMORTS online only, coming from EA. They're following that like rabid dogs too. I think MOBA is just one of those things, though, that yes, your initial target was a smaller audience, but they were a dedicated audience. Now you're going into a field where maybe your audience has grown exponentially a little bit here, but it's also a lot more fragmented. They'll spend maybe 2 hours in your game, and if it doesn't catch them, they will never touch it again. They'll go back to League of Legends. So I don't know which would have been better. The RTS market would have been more stable but smaller. Now you're in a bigger gene pool. You got more players, but how long are they going to stay? You better make it damn good and compelling.
What about, I mean, it still says, like I said, it still says MOBA/RTS. Do you know anything? I mean, do we know anything about the RTS element here? Is that completely gone? Or are we controlling single units or groups? I mean, that would be different than a MOBA. Is there any other information on the net about this?
No. That's it. I mean, you've literally in 5 seconds shown the viewers the entire scope of what Trion's released so far. The email was not any more detailed. I got the email maybe a few hours after we posted the story saying, hey, come and sign up. And all it was 3 or 4 bullet points on MO. It's a MOBA RTS. It's not dead. We're still doing it. Sign up for beta. Here's a few screenshots of some cool vehicles and one big-ass robot.
Yeah, pretty much that is it. So go check it out if you guys are interested. It's endofnations.com and you can sign up. We kind of threw some red flags when we heard about Petroglyph, like I said, was the original studio developing it outside of Tryon. And then we got in the news, I guess, I don't know how long ago, but months ago that Tryon had basically scooped the project away, so to speak, from Petroglyph and brought it in-house. And that's all we really heard. And that's when they went dark. And I kind of, said, well, that's kind of a red flag right there. Something's wrong. Something is not working too well.
Big Tryon fan here. I love them as a company and what they do for the whole MMO game space, and snagging it was probably the right decision based on playing the game previously in its previous incarnations. It was definitely the right call. I don't know if this new direction is the right call, but Tryon has a pretty successful track record for me to be knocking down, right?
Got to get our mitts on it and play it. Got to see what it's all about. So go sign up, go sign up, go sign up. All right, next on today's list, Firefall is finally in open beta. It's been in closed beta for quite a while right now. It seems like it took forever, but they've been around for a really long time. I don't know, Red 5, like I said, if you guys didn't check it out, Red 5 had me down to their studios Wednesday. I was down there for Firefall Fest 2013. We're going to get that footage posted up on GameBreaker.tv ASAP. So if you want to go watch that, you go and check it out. Really good interview section. Got a lot of good info from Mark Kern. It was really awesome about that. I don't know if you got to watch that, but man, the transparency and just and even when I got there, right? Like, you go to sometimes these things and you're going to do something like this, and other times companies are like, hey, we'd like to talk about, this and this, and we'd like to make sure that we, communicate this message to the viewer.
Right.
And it's like they're kind of
prepping. They don't tell you exactly what questions you're allowed to ask.
They don't tell you the questions, but they kind of like,
they want
usually
you to stick to a certain area.
Yeah, they're like, this is what we're trying to communicate at this time and blah, blah, blah. And I got to Red 5 and I was like, so what are we doing today? And we're like, we're going to have fun. And I was like, what? I was like, all right. And they're like, what are we talking about? Like, whatever you want to talk about. And there's like no question, just ask whatever you want. There's no questions, like whatever, ask the hard questions, whatever you guys want to do. Like, we're going to play the game. You can ask us questions. We're going to play the game. There was like zero scripting. Super, super nice people. They all seem just like super dedicated devs and just a great group of people. And again, just completely unscripted, completely just open to everything that we were able to talk about. They didn't, whatever, and I urge you to check it out. It's really nice to see devs understanding the level of transparency that game design needs to, I think, take in 2013, because it's changed. The internet has changed the way the player communicates with the developer in any shape or form, even in media, with things like Twitter and things like everybody. They want a direct connection with you. They want to talk to you. They want to like get their feedback. They want to like put this, and These guys get it, and they're really trying to make like a game that the players want. What's your take on Firefall?
Even before we talk about Firefall, Red 5 just seems like a pretty badass place to work, doesn't it? There's no hierarchy. I mean, they've got a couple key figures in title positions, like obviously Mark Kern. There's like no hierarchy. They have different videos that they've done where it just looks like a blast to work there. As far as the game goes, I did a first look for this game way back when the NDA dropped in April 2012. Which is totally no longer valid.
Right? It's completely changed. Because that's what I say. Like that's the thing I want gamers to understand. They're still in open beta, so they moved from closed to open. And believe me, these guys mean beta. So I don't think a lot of gamers believe it anymore. Especially with free-to-play games, they joke around and they go, "Oh, when a game goes into like closed beta, it's basically their launch, and this is what they're going to launch with. They just don't want to call it launch." Firefall's really doing a real beta.
And I wasn't even one of the first to get into closed beta. I mean, it had already been running at that point. I got in probably very early in 2012, like February-ish, late January, early February-ish last year. Did the first look when the NDA dropped in April. The closed beta just finished, or the open beta just went live on the 9th of this month. So we're still talking a year and 3 months back. Was the first time I was able to publicly talk about it, and it had already been in closed beta for months at that point. I also did an interview with Mark Kern at one point, and don't look for this one to come out of open beta anytime soon either, based on some of their design philosophy going forward too.
What do you think? What do you think is the one thing? We talked a little bit about this on This Week in MMO as well. We were talking a little about Firefall, and I was trying to sort of encapsulate, like, it's a bit of a tough game to try and communicate to gamers exactly what it is, because it's not a theme park. There's no quests. There's no question marks. There's no explanation points. It's much more of a sandbox style game. But I think I don't necessarily know if they've communicated properly to the gaming community what Firefall is, and I think they're even struggling with that a little bit. And they're pretty open with that. And they're just like, we're not really sure. Like, we've created something different. Third person, FPS. We're not sure. And they're actually struggling, I think, a little bit with it. I wanted to see from you playing it, how would you describe Firefall to somebody who was new to it and just didn't really know what they were looking at?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you and even Red 5. Initially, I would have said, yeah, it's a third-person shooter with a PvE element, but of course mainly PvP. And then they went ahead and killed the whole level system, and then they put in all the crafting, and then they put in all the farming of resources. And I honestly don't know what I would call the damn thing right now, but a lot of fun if you're into PvP. Entertaining right now, but not captivating yet on PvE. But look for that based on who they've signed to be the writers. For I want to talk about the PvE for a second, because that was when I first heard about Firefall. I was like, oh, it's that esports PvP game. They're going to go after the esports thing. That's all it was going to be. Right. And the PvE seemed like it wasn't even exist. And back then, it really didn't exist. But even to this day, I watching chat room before, people were saying, like, people who had tried it said, I'm having fun in Firefall, but sometimes I don't know what to do. And that's something that Red 5 are doing by design, actually. Like, they're not getting in there and hand-holding you and telling you exactly, hey, this is how to play the game. So how do you describe PvE in a game when there are no quests? Like, it's kind of like, hey, here's a world. There are things to do and things happen. Now just go do them and do whatever you want to do. But that's very confusing for a lot of modern MMO players. Yeah, I mean, it certainly is, because it's almost too big a sandbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a sandbox where I don't know the rules. And at least in most sandbox games, I know there's a rule set. I know my limitations in Minecraft, and therefore I can play in it. I don't know the rules and what I should be doing or what I should be trying to achieve in Firefall yet. I think that's going to change an awful lot. I mean, they did pick up Richard Piercy as the kind of lead writer along with the team. They're going to be producing stories in kind of like episodic content almost. where it's a mission that you and a small fire team go and perform somewhere in the world. But don't look for it to ever really be that whole linear A to B to C to D. And so what do? What do I do in there? I go and I find the next thing I want to build, and then I go farm some resources to build it. And while I'm doing that, I normally get distracted and sidetracked by 3 other things. That's typically the way I play. What do I want to build next? What do I need to build it? And then I just let the game distract me 3 or 4 times along the way.
And I think if I could put my 2 cents in as far as like how to maybe have a fun experience in Firefall, get a decent group of people that you're friends with on there and be social with it. It is very, very like it's very much about being social and just getting in there and be like, hey guys, what do you want to do? Oh, let's go thumb for a while. All right, let's go do this. Or if you don't feel like doing that tonight, you log on tomorrow. Like, hey, what do you want to do? Hey, let's go push back the Chosen, which is near the melding. You know, I'm talking about like technical things that like some of the Firefall people, non-players don't know what that is, but it's the kind of game where they want you to have that conversation where you just jump on Vent, Mumble, or whatever, and you sort of just have that, hey, what do you want to do tonight? Oh, let's just go do this. All right, cool. Like, you don't have to be like, well, I'm trying to level my character, and I'm on this part of the quest line, so I need to go do this. Like, it's not like that. It's really just like, hey, let's go blow up some shit and kill some stuff and get some resources and build some stuff. It's a really different way. Yeah, I mean, for me, it actually kind of reminds me a lot of like older games that I really enjoy. So I'm very much looking forward to it and having a good time. And I'm probably going to play as soon as we're done with this show.
I would, but there's a pesky other game I can play for a couple of days.
That is true. But check it out. I definitely think it's worthy. And again, still in open beta, so going to be really interesting to see the changes that Firefall does over the next 6 to 12 months. I think it's going to be really interesting.
And according to Mark Kern, like I said, can anticipate this to be kind of like Google's beta, where there's really no set period for how long this is going to be and what's going to be implemented and taken out. It's going to be an open beta until they think it's ready, and they're in no hurry to say it's ready. Yep.
And even I think a lot of people watching this type of show appreciate this, and they've probably been watching This Week in MMO for a long time. We talk a lot about like the not the business side, but what we see a lot of MMOs do is like if you were looking at it on a graph, it's like this. Game comes out, they do this, they spike, and then they go woo, they go like this. And the devs and Mark Kern, is I think their expectations of the game and how they're looking at it, I think are very in tune with the market, and they don't want that. They don't want this. They don't want like this, we're just going to go up and we're going to kill and World of Warcraft is dead. Everybody's going to play Firefall. No, they're just like, we're just going to do this. And we're just going to keep reiterating, making the game better over time. And, it's almost like the Eve model, I like to call it. It's like the sustainable Eve model where we grow month over month, year after year. And it's, it's not 15 million people playing the game, but it keeps growing. So I think they're onto something.
The only thing that I want them to implement at some point, Gary, and you being old school, maybe you'll come with me on this. I want death in Firefall to be more meaningful.
So I brought that up, and I'm going to post that interview because I brought up a few things like open world PvP first of all, which I think this game is definitely going to have at some point. They completely said yes, it will at some point. It doesn't yet because they just want to like focus on what they have. But open world PvP, death being meaningful. Even joked around like permadeath servers. Don't know if that will happen. That might be crazy, but I doubt you'll see that. But I agree.
That would be rough.
But all those crazy espionage stories that you hear about EVE Online and things like that, I think eventually you're going to see that type of thing happen in Firefall. That's a very big influence on them. They definitely are looking at that. So I think death will have a bit more of consequence in the future, but I think some of the other things have to come in play, and they're kind of focused right now just on getting the core right. So I agree.
You've had my attention for over a year, so they got to be doing something right?
Seriously. All right, let's talk about another game you've been playing a lot of, or lack of, I don't know, but Neverwinter. They've revealed the new campaign system. This is something that they've been teasing for a while, but it hasn't, we've had no info on this until now. Before you actually unleash your opinion, sir.
No. You can tell that I had an opinion?
What is it all about? What's the new campaign system all about?
Well, the campaign system is something they're going to be implementing in the first module, Fury of the Feywild, which comes up in summer 2013. And initially, they kind of advertised this months ago as kind of the equivalent to the Star Trek Online episodic release, the way that Cryptic does it for that game. As we got closer, they started billing it as a new zone where you're in the new zone, you'll have to do certain things to open up parts of the zone. And so it kind of led me to believe at that time that is that phasing? Is that what they're talking about? You know, you can't go to this next section until you've completed the 15 quests that lead the story to that section. Finally, they did put a posting up this past week on exactly what it is, and I'm going to read from theirs exactly here, because I don't want to misquote them or anything like this. This is exactly how it read on Neverwinter's official site. The system itself is now a user interface window similar to the queue or professions window. In it, players will find projects they must complete in order to unlock Sarandar's other neighborhoods, the new Malabog Castle Dungeon Delve, and new passive powers for their characters. Okay, they got me so far. How did players complete projects and progress? Zone itself will have many repeatable quests that will give rewards which players will use in the campaign system window. Also, players can complete solo instances in the 5-man Malabog Castle to speed up progression within the campaign system. And Malabog Castle is unlocked via an early campaign system project before you're able to enter it. For solo instances, you can get one-time keys that you acquire doing the repeatable quests in the zone, or purchase with a brand new currency that comes from this adventuring zone as well. So it's more repeatable content for a game that suffers from too much repeatable content right now.
Does not sound super exciting or interesting or very different. And this was something that was...
You gotta respect that within months they're putting in a new zone, they're putting in a dungeon. I mean, there are good things here. It's not all bad.
Sure. All right, so what's the reaction been? What has the reaction been? Because this was kind of hyped up as like a really big thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it still is. I mean, if there's diehard Neverwinter people that are just defending it left and right, and, you know, hey, I defend my own games to my own detriment too. On most forums, though, the pervading thought is great. More repeatable content for a game that has a lot of repeatable content, and good lord, another currency for a game that has way too many currencies to begin with. So campaign system is generally getting a thumbs down, although people are always happy to see new instances, new dungeons, and new zones. The one big disappointment here that a lot of people are kind of upset about is that you will not see a new class in this module, and you likely will not, according to interviews with Andy Velasquez, you will not see new classes until late 2013 at the earliest. And everybody thought they were going to be a lot earlier than that, since back in April, Andy had said one class almost made it to release. It was that close to being done. Apparently, now that number's around 40%, according to Andy. So there's...
Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, weren't there expectations of this campaign system of like what it was going to be? I mean, campaign sounded like it was going to be very story heavy. And that's, I think, where the disconnect here is, that like the terminology that they used around this kind of built some expectations in players' minds, whether that's, you know, right nor wrong.
And I know it's boring to read to a viewer, right? But that's why I wanted to read exactly what they said. I didn't want our interpretation of what they said to come across. They're the ones that actually use the words repeatable, multiple times in this. And I'm along the same lines as you. I thought this was going to be epic story going from A to Z. And that's all right. I'm okay with the linear story if it's good. Let's go through it and have some fun. It's a new zone and new dungeons. But this sounds like something that you and I could probably knock out in a few hours to a day or two, and then all of a sudden the expectation is we have to keep doing it now to get the tier 2 and tier 1 rewards that are in this module.
Have you been paying attention to cryptic updates? coming out of all the updates coming out? I mean, do you think that they're focusing at least on the right things that players want? Hard to say.
In general, they're doing some things right. I think they're really missing the opportunity here. So many people want the new race. It needs a ranger class, big time. It has since launch, since before launch. It still needs a ranger class, and now we're not going to get it until a class until late this year. Desperately needs that for D&D fans. More repeatable content in a game with repeatable content is probably not the best selling point for any feature. They're not even looking at doing raids. Again, according to Andy in an interview this week, they don't have raids or anything in development. So whether you like raids or not aside, they're not even thinking about that right now. So it says, what are they thinking about? They're 5-man dungeons. Okay, what are they doing to make those a little bit more interesting? Well, in the new module, they are looking at more intense boss fights that aren't just boss with wave of ads. So cool. That's what a Neverwinter player wants to hear. But I had to go through the 3 things I didn't want to hear to get to the one that I do like.
Right.
And that's generally the cryptic theme.
Oh, cryptic. Oh, cryptic. Oh, cryptic. Still a lot of good stuff there. It's not all bad. It's just a little bit. It's not definitely not, I think, what we expected.
I feel like every time we talk about Neverwinter, I have to say, I like the game.
I know, I do as well. I'm not playing it as extensively as you are, or a lot of other players are, but when I play, I actually do have fun in the game. It's just, I don't know. I think we keep going back. You know, it's probably never going to be that super. It's not your only game. It's not. It's sure. I think for a lot of players who are frustrated, they might be looking at it to be their only game. So, all right, I want to talk about Dota 2, which is finally out of beta. But first, I got to tell you about the great deal we got going on with Squarespace. That's right. Go to squarespace.com if you need a website, and everyone should have a website in 2013. If you're like 10 years old, you should probably have a website. Who knows? 10, 20, 30. If you have a guild, you definitely need a website. All guilds need websites. Maybe to post up, your videos, your raid bosses, all that kind of stuff. And you need a website that looks good and like it should be on the web in 2013. And I want you to check out Squarespace. You got to check it out. You start out with these really award-winning templates that just look super modern, crisp, clean, and the back end of what you can do in Squarespace is just phenomenal. I mean, they've taken what's really, really, really tough to do. I mean, learning HTML to design a website is just, it's beyond. Like, you got to go to school, you got to read tons of books. It's too much work for the average person just to make a website. And somebody else out there is going to charge you an arm and a leg to make it. You go over to Squarespace, you sign up, you make an account, you start out with a template, you start with a design. Oh, it wants me to create it. I'm not going to create you right now. I will later, but maybe not right now. And you can start changing and manipulating on the back end with no HTML knowledge whatsoever. So if you got to change fonts, padding, margins, images, all this stuff is just super, super easy to change out. Anyone can do it. And you can have a website that's just looking like a top-notch website that you would be proud of, and a lot of other guilds and other people probably be really envious of. So go check it out. Go over to squarespace.com, make a new account. Offers good on new accounts, and make sure to use the offer code GameBreaker7 on your checkout, and you're going to save 10% off. And I also should mention that you can also handle your domain name stuff there, and they take care of your hosting, so you don't have to worry about that. And that's also a whole nother nightmare. That's right, Bird? I mean, that's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Deploying
that stuff just looks Greek to me.
Deploying like code and FTP and no.
Our techs come in and they say, hey, we're going to do this. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to post this story when you're done. Just could you let me know when you're done? I don't know what you're doing.
They handle all that stuff. Squarespace does it all for you. You don't even have to worry about anything. You just sign up. You make an account. It's hosted. It's up online. You get the domain. You point it at it. It's done. Your website's live. Check it out today. All right. So Dota 2 is finally out of beta. I'd say even if you don't play Dota 2, this is good news because those damn beta keys are out of my inventory on Steam. Are they not?
Oh, thank God. Oh.
You a Dota or a League guy?
Oh.
If you say neither, can't say neither.
Why can't I say neither?
If you say neither, I'm going to blame Final Fantasy.
That's probably pretty accurate then. If I got to pick between the two, I'm a League guy.
I'm with you. I think I'm with you. Only because I know Dota's harder, and I suck. So that's pretty much it. We talked about before. I mean, between League and Dota 2, I don't know, the whole MOBA space, it looks very daunting. I know a lot of people get kind of scared by this, but it's out. It's out. It's out. So it is here. I'm going to get into Dota 2. I'm going to make a goal right now. I'm going to play some Dota 2. I'm going to get a trainer, start working out.
This goes back to us talking about, is it easier to make a MOBA or is it hard to? And we talked about it. Yeah, it's probably pretty easy to get into that market, but it's insanely hard to stay there. Investors love when you say, we're going to make a game. It's going to be like League of Legends or Dota 2. Money, 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 money. Go make it. And then once it launches, it's not League or Dota 2. And so it's on its way out. So I think it's a pretty fair question. Heroes of Newerth, I think, comes the closest to being in the conversation, but it's Dota 2 or League of Legends, and for me, it's just slightly League of Legends, although now that I don't have to deal with the beta invites, Dota 2 might catch up a little.
I gotta say, if I have to, like, and I'm actually only saying that because I've played more League, even when I'm still terrible. Yeah. Like, I've played more League than Dota 2. I do have to say, though, Dota's got the cool factor. Like, Dota's, like, the artwork and like, it's like dripping with cool.
So it's the comfort factor for you then that pushes you to League?
Bit.
Just the familiarity?
The other thing is for me is that I know that people who love Dota 2, I don't want to say they're like more hardcore, but like they're good. Like to be the whole esports like community scares the shit out of me, to be honest. Like I don't even have like shows on Game Breaker, and if you wanted the truth, it's because I'm afraid of you guys because you're all so damn elitist. Like you're all just like super into it, and it's like if people don't know what they're doing, you're just like shut up, and then you're raging. It's like I'm not that good. I just want to have fun. But
did you see that the U.S. government now considers League of Legends tournament players to be athletes today?
Wow.
A couple days ago, actually.
Huge story. That is explain that to everybody. That's a huge story.
Yeah, we're doing a pretty extensive write-up. It's going up pretty much 10 minutes after this show. So if you hang around FreeToPlayTV, it'll be up. Our League of Legends expert is kind of writing that one up. But so the U.S. government now considers League of Legends tournament players athletes. And while that kind of might be like, well, why the hell are they even getting into this? That's stupid. If you look at it from a different side, it totally makes sense. It makes visas easier to acquire for players and teams and sponsors and casters and all of that to get in and out of the country to do their work for tournaments. So that's kind of the primary driver. But on the flip side, Gary, doesn't that kind of like, boom, you are now a legitimate sport?
Yeah, that's the thing is like I get what the technical reason of it is for, but exactly. I really feel like the mind share of what it does and permeates through the video game industry is a much larger thing than what it's actually being done for, the actual mechanics of it.
Yeah,
because I think it does. It legitimizes. It's just another, a step up, a chink in the chain, or whatever you want to say. Like it's just another step up of like legitimizing esports and kind of bringing it to the forefront of, and I would say especially hopefully this story gets picked up more and it actually permeates out, because I'd like to see like more mainstream people be like, hear this story and then go, oh, that news outlet that I completely respect and listen to says that esports is a real thing now, and apparently this kid's making lots of money. No, because I think it's important that a lot of the average people who don't even care about esports maybe think of it a little bit differently and don't just be like, it's a bunch of nerds playing in their basement and they don't do anything. They're just they got pimples and they're all fat, blah, blah, they don't have like girls. No, I mean, I'm hoping that like there's a bigger play here with how this is perceived in the public eye. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean, and it's obviously the government did it for the tax purposes, but
sure.
You're totally right. It absolutely legitimizes League of Legends. Now, what's interesting is, will it extend out to other esports now, right? StarCraft 2 is the next logical question, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Does that now get this visa treatment? Totally legitimizes it as a sport. Now, whether you would call League of Legends player an athlete or not is a totally different subject, but according to the U.S. government, they are now.
Hey, Competitive gaming. I don't know, but Dota 2 out of beta. I'm going to make it my goal to play some Dota 2 because I'm watching this trailer right now and I'm just like, man, it's just, I know this is a CG trailer, but it is so cool. Like, it drips with cool. I got to say, if I had to pick one or the other as far as like aesthetically, I kind of want to be into Dota 2 more than League because it's just awesome.
I agree.
It's a little darker.
I'll team up with you. That way there's not so many people that are cussing us out for being piss poor at the game.
All right, we'll get a trainer. I know people. I got somebody who can teach us and get us up and running. So we'll see how that goes.
Awesome.
All right, Marvel
that should
Heroes.
Be recorded.
Yes, never. Marvel Heroes is getting a little more consumer friendly. They've got a new system. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Byrne, but wasn't one of the biggest complaints around about Marvel Heroes how difficult or expensive it was to acquire new heroes?
Yeah, that was kind of the main beef with it. And in the rating system on free-to-play TV, the gamers, viewers have been kind of giving it a few chinks there on the cash shop because they don't like how expensive the heroes are. And the only other way to obtain them was RNG, baby. If you got lucky,
RNG.
you got lucky. That was it. So, yeah, both sides were unhappy. So these coming changes are definitely welcome. And it'll be interesting to see how they change some of the ratings on our own site, not just to mention sites all over the internet.
So here's what's changing. So I'm going to bring up League of Legends again. So yes, you can buy heroes with cash in Marvel Heroes, or you can play the game and earn currency to buy them, for free, basically with the in-game currency. So it looks like Marvel Heroes is following suit, looking at what's working with League of Legends. I think it's a very smart move. Like you said, there will be an RNG factor here, but I don't know. Do you have any? Hopefully, it won't be as crazy as it was before.
It won't. David Brevik actually, the guy's a genius. I mean, whether you like his type of games or not, his dungeon delves and loot fests, that aside, the guy's an absolute genius, and he puts it great when he talks about what they're doing here. He gives the example of two players. So there's Gary, right? You play for 3 weeks, and you just beat the hell out of this game. You get up to level 35 over 2 weeks, and you aren't lucky at all. You don't get one hero drop in the game. Period. Okay. And then I, on the other hand, have been playing for 2 or 3 weeks. I get to 35, and I'm Mr. Lucky. I get 7 hero drops in that same time period. But I really wanted Wolverine, and I didn't get Wolverine. Both of us as players are unhappy, right? You didn't get squad. I didn't get the one I wanted. So this new system with the Eternity Splinters, they're going to take the hero tokens out of the game. You can still buy a hero in the cash shop, but you're not going to get a hero token anymore once this is implemented. Every monster in the game has a chance to drop Eternity Splinters, and they stack up to 1,000. Every single monster. And they haven't released the exact drop rate. They did say it's going to be a little bit better than the hero tokens were. And the way they're balancing it is you can expect to get that if you played the game for 3 hours today and you played for 3 hours tomorrow, you can expect to get almost the same number of Eternity Splinters on each game session. So they're going to balance it over time. 200 to 600 Eternity Splinters equals a hero. There you go. There's different prices for different heroes. Go and get the one you want. So now we're both playing by the same rules, and we can go and get the exact hero we want. So in our example, you're happy, and I'm happy for being able to get the heroes without spending cash. Good system. They're going to test it very quick. They're putting up a test realm for you guys to play on, so please go test it because they want to implement it fast, but they need people to test it.
Do you think this is one of the things that could really push Marvel Heroes over the edge?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean it's the one big gripe, right? It's that one big gripe with the game, and now they're saying, okay, fine, we're going to do something about the one big gripe that you guys have. Yeah, if you don't like this ARPG style, you don't like that it's just constantly recycle the same thing and go after more and more loot, there's nothing they can do for you. That's just the style of game this is. But if that was your one big complaint for the game, it just got a hell of a lot better for you.
How is it doing? I mean, how's it doing in general right now? Because this story, I mean, this is a really positive story, and I think, you know, we're seeing some really big changes out of it. So I think it's getting a lot more people hyped up. How is it doing in general? I've heard mixed things about the game.
Yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? All the feedback is all over the place. I mean, it's been getting reviews that are damn near perfect from some places, and then it's just getting shelled by other people. And even our review system on free-to-play, we rated it, I think, in the high 8s or maybe even a 9 on the dot. I think that was the highest we went with it. Mainly, the cash shop kind of pulled it back a little bit, and the gameplay pulled it back because it is repetitive. The user reviews are all over the place for this one. I've seen them come in where it's like 3 to 4, and then I've seen people that rated it higher than us. It's just astounding. It's all over the place. I'm gonna watch it to see if this levels out at least the cash shop score on our site a little bit. I think it's just one of those games you either absolutely love it and it's almost a 10, or you're never gonna frickin' touch it. There's no middle ground with this. It's kind of like Diablo 2, right? Yeah. You either loved it and played it for a decade, or you hated it and you never played it.
Talks a very specific type of gamer, but I mean, this new system sounds like it's definitely worth, for a lot of people that may have been turned off by that system, this definitely just sounds like you might want to jump back in there and give this thing a shot. Like you said, do your duty. Let them know if you like it, because they want to do it quick, because they obviously know that that is the one big sticking point right now for everybody, so they want to fix it. Mike Byrne, follow him on the Twitter at MagicMan, MAGICKMANN with a 1. Doing card tricks in pre-show. Got a show for the pre-show. Magic Man be doing card tricks in the pre-show. Hey, you can follow me on Twitter, Gary Gannon. Follow GameBreaker TV at GameBreaker TV. Of course, come over to FreeToPlay.tv, where we review all the free-to-play games and all that good stuff, as well as cover the news. And GameBreaker.tv. All kinds of good stuff. Oh, speaking of Firefall, I should push this earlier in the show. We're giving away 5 $20 Firefall starter packs and 1 $100 starter pack grand prize. Do not miss it. Go over to GameBreaker.tv. Go to the front page. Go on the right-hand column. There's a banner for it. Click that. Really easy how you guys can, load that up and get involved with that and hopefully win. So good luck to that. 5 $20 packs, 1 $100 pack. No restrictions. Wherever you are in the world, they work. All that good stuff. So check it out. Hey, thanks for watching Derpy Dragon. You guys have an awesome weekend, and we'll see you next week for some more Game Breaker and free-to-play shows.